This is the Scorer to Follow podcast.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the Scorer to Follow podcast. I'm your host Neil Mundy. Opposite me as always is Dan Laundy.
Hello.
And to my right as always is Mark Annals.
Hello.
So this is going to be a bit of a roundup show. Going to look at the previous week's Premier League action, the opening fixtures. Then fast forward on to this weekend's coming Premier League action. And probably finish up with a bit of transfer talk. Touching on perhaps Barcelona and what's going on there. But first of all, gents, are you well?
Yeah, not bad. Enjoyed the opening weekend.
What was your favourite bit, Mark?
My favourite bit, well, I'm going to have to say, Olivier Giroud's goal.
Well, there's a shocker.
Yes. There we go.
It was a bit of a stupid question, really, wasn't it? But now I've asked it to Mark, and it was completely off the cuff. I'm going to ask you, Dan, and I'm pretty sure I know what the answer's going to be.
John Joe Shelby.
Yes, I thought it would be that.
Made my weekend. What a clown.
He is a talented yet completely brainless footballer, in my view, which is probably held up by the weekend's actions.
I just think the guy doesn't learn from his mistakes.
Yeah, he's...
he's mid-20s now?
Yeah. I mean, like, let's say it is a shame because he's a good footballer in it. You know,
you had him at Liverpool, didn't you? I suppose for a while, was it?
But I was glad we got a shot of him in the end because he's just made too many stupid mistakes like that. Even other things like scoring ridiculous own goals and stuff, which he seemed to do a bit for Swansea as well.
Been caught up with a few things, and I seem to remember him getting sent off against United, and then just having like a bust up with Ferguson on the touchline.
It was quite funny, but
Yeah.
It's interesting to think that in a couple of weeks' time, when the transfer window closes, that Newcastle might have a central midfield of John Joe Shelby, and Kennedy from Chelsea also seems to be attracted to trouble.
Oh, that'll be fun up there. Then they love a drama up there anyway.
The Goldfish Bowl, as it was once called.
Yeah.
They had Joey Barton up there. That's a start, wasn't it?
It's lucky they've got a nice, calm, non-combustible coach on the sidelines, really, isn't it? Or not. My favourite bit, Liverpool's game was a bit hit and miss at the end. So rather than anything in our game, I'm actually going to go for Huddersfield beating Palace 3-0 and being top of the table until bloody Man U came along and ruined it. Boo the bastards.
Swear one. We're only 3 minutes in.
You asked me to host this, Daniel. It's your fault. It's on you. Right, let's move on to it then. Let's discuss the weekend's action a bit more. And obviously the obvious place to start, Stamford Bridge, Dan. Chelsea were 3-0 down to Burnley within 45 minutes, which is not something anyone saw coming. Got it back to 2-3, so retained some pride, but also 2 sendings off. So a mad start for the champions.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it on the previous show if anyone had a chance to listen to it last week. But I do wonder whether there is that undercurrent in the dressing room that we discussed. Whether or not there is a possibility of like a Mourinho Mark II situation happening there over the next few weeks, and maybe Conte looking to move on. Because there was a lot of talk over the summer that he didn't really want to stay. And my understanding is that the new contract he signed was a pay rise, but not an extension. So I do wonder whether or not there's something more going on. Perhaps he's not so committed.
It doesn't appear and you can only ever go from what you see on the outside. Obviously, inside it might be all rainbows, sunshine, and singing songs, but it doesn't appear to be a happy club, Mark.
No, well, from the outside, it's plain to see there's something not right there, is there? I mean, Conte's had a bit of a moan that he hasn't got enough players, and we saw this weekend. He named a very inexperienced bench. Whether or not that was him just trying to make a point, or that's just what he had at his disposal, we don't know. But yeah, they just don't look. And the Costa thing, Diego Costa thing, still going on as well. All's not well at Chelsea at the moment.
Yeah, that doesn't help, does it, Dan? With Costa, it's just something that needs to be resolved, and you get the feeling that Conte would just be like, just get this fella away from me. That's probably why he's living in Brazil at the moment.
I don't want to feel like I'm siding with the guy because I don't condone what he's choosing to do, and you wouldn't want players at your own club doing it. But if he was told in the summer he was surplus to requirements, and that he needed to find a new club, but then the club sort of complaining that he's now choosing not to come back. So sort of playing devil's advocate, he's got a contract that obviously he has to stick to.
Yeah.
But if the club have said we don't really want you anymore, then to a degree you can understand why a player would say, well, you've made it clear I'm not welcome. What's the point? Because he's only going to come back train on his own, assumably, or with the youngsters. I don't see that from his point of view. What's he going to gain from that?
I think, Mark, though, perhaps Dan's got a point there, I think, but perhaps what you want him to do in this situation is just keep his head down. You know, he doesn't need to be mouthing off to the press about which club he wants to go to and all this stuff and have this rumpus going on. Just sit in your house in Brazil, eat some peanuts or whatever, and just wait for somebody to come in. Although obviously Atletico, that's a bit of a strange situation.
Yeah, I mean, it should really just stay between him and the club. But there's a lot sort of, he's been, he's come out in the press and just say that I want to go to Atletico Madrid. Chelsea are making it awkward for me, but I think really it's just going to Atletico Madrid is awkward at the moment anyway because their transfer ban. There's talk. I think there was talk. I saw something that Deportivo have offered to take him on loan until January, and then he can join Atletico Madrid. But it is a strange one. I kind of agree with what you said, Dan. That he obviously Chelsea are saying that you've got a contract with us, you need to be returning to us and training. But also he's been told that he's got no future, and if he's been told you're not wanted at the club, then absolutely. Why would you want to sort of go back?
I mean, in terms of him being in the press with it, I can't remember if it was the Mail or whatever it was, but he was essentially doorstepped, wasn't he? I think. I mean, all right, he still went ahead with the interview, but I don't. It's not like he
sorted it out. No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, fair enough. I mean, the loan move does seem like a workaround that could end up being best for all parties. Probably only fair to mention, to be honest, that Burnley did really well. They took their opportunities. I sat here about a week ago saying they need to win more games away from home, and that's a pretty good start. In fairness,
the champions,
especially when that squad, like we touched on again in the preview, it's quite threadbare for Burnley.
Yeah,
I mean, that's. Don't want to take away the credit, as you say, but I don't know whether you can read a lot into that victory, and it'll be interesting to see how they go. Because obviously, if there is unrest at Chelsea, we've seen it happen before in previous seasons there now. It doesn't seem to take much to knock them over the edge, and if Conte is upset certain cliques in the dressing room, with his treatment of Costa, if that's possible.
Well, yeah, it could. If he's been particularly harsh to Costa, because it's kind of sort of come out whether or not it's true or not that Costa was told that he was not wanted by text message. And
hell of a night for the manager, that.
Yep. And a lot of players have been thinking, well, that's just a little bit disrespectful. He can't even say it to his face. It's gonna, if you disrupt harmony in the training room, in the dressing room, sorry, then it's not good.
It's like he's broken up with his girlfriend and it's all gone sort of tits up ever since.
Yeah. Well, yeah, how it is for Conte though. He's gone on a night out. He's gone for a kebab. 3 a.m. He's a bit drunk.
Yeah. Do
you know what? I'll just text Diego and tell him I'm lashing him in the
I love the idea that that's how it happened.
I think that's almost certainly how it happened.
Conte half cut at 2 a.m. He's watching an old episode of Countdown.
No, had enough of him. Get rid of the fella. Okay. We'll watch with interest. Next fixture is Sunday Spurs.
Yeah, at Wembley.
I'm not up with my fixtures, but yeah, Sunday Spurs Wembley. So interesting. Two schools of thought. You could say you wouldn't want to particularly be playing Spurs on the back of it, but then perhaps it's what they need. It's a big game at Wembley, so it could prove a catalyst for them. But
especially if Hazard's back, as is rumoured. He's likely to get some minutes.
Yeah. Could be an interesting game because also we talk about problems at Chelsea and there's obviously I also don't think it will go on for very long in it. But this so-called Wembley hoodoo for Tottenham, whether or not that's going to be a bit on their backs as well. But
I think if they score early and start to dominate the game, I think that would break that pretty quickly, and then hopefully everybody, and media included, can move on from it.
There's almost no better game in a way to have than the champions first up. You'd almost be more worried if it was Huddersfield, wouldn't you, in a weird way, because you'd think, it might be 1-1, and then everyone would go away and go, when Huddersfield are still playing well early doors.
Because you think that, like I say, if you get beaten by Chelsea there, then it's sort of like, well, they are the champions.
There's all sorts of things that get thrown Tottenham's way if they get beaten Sunday, isn't there? There's the Danny Rose stuff. There's the Danny Rose situation that the press will just jump on the first opportunity. Again, unrest in the dressing room, the Wembley hoodoo. For Spurs' season's sake, and not just based on this one fixture and the rivalry, I think they need to win it.
Well,
we'll see. We'll see, won't we?
All will be revealed at Wembley on Sunday. I know that the other things we were going to cover included Liverpool and Arsenal. Mark, I'm going to let you cover Arsenal first. Obviously, it was a bit of a seesaw game, but they got the points in the end. So you can't, opening game's always weird. Mm-hmm. Perhaps it's okay, really.
Well, it's certainly entertaining for the neutral, wasn't it? I was certainly biting my nails at some periods of that game. Obviously, perfect start for Lacazette. Score within 2 minutes, and and then obviously in typical Arsenal style, we were pegged back straight away to 1-1, and then 2-1 down. But I think there's been a lot made about our defence. It was true they're all over the place, but I think what people forget is we didn't have any of our first choice. Well, apart from probably Monreal, have any of our first choice defence. There, no Koscielny, no Mustafi. So you've got two actually proper centre backs there who didn't play. And who we did play in defence was we had Holding, who's a centre back but very young and made one mistake and got shot for the whole game until he got substituted, and then two left backs either side of him.
But then bearing in mind you were short of experienced centre halves, could it be argued that Wenger took a bit of a strange choice in playing a three at the back when he didn't have enough experience available?
The thing is, with Arsene Wenger, we all know that he likes to give players that have played in summer tournaments extra rest. Seem to be the only Arsenal seem to be the only team that do it. But the thing is, I think that that's okay if you want to do that, but you've got to have players to play. If you're struggling for centre backs, which you were, then you just have to play them.
But aren't you selling Gabriel to Valencia this week as well?
Yeah.
So unless you've got somebody coming in, are you still short? I mean, I don't.
I think that we've got Callum Chambers come back from. But there was talk he was going to go out, but I think he's probably more likely to stay now.
So I don't understand this, because if he wasn't good enough last season, he did alright at Borough, but I wouldn't say he's done enough to suddenly be a key component of Arsenal's backline when you're shipping goals like he did against Leicester.
Well, I think we've got Koscielny suspended for one more game. Mustafi's back at the weekend, and we've got Mertesacker as well, who. It's going to be his last year. So we have got some centre backs coming back for the weekend. But the Gabriel one I didn't really expect. But if someone wants him, and there's talk that he hasn't really settled in England.
They're saying that the squad's too big. And
also we just need to sell some players, and the players that we did want to get rid of we're struggling for buyers at the moment. So we need to get rid of people off the wage bill. Somehow.
All said and done, though, at the end of the day, I'm spewing out cliches like there's no tomorrow here, but Arsenal traditionally quite often struggle in the opening fixture, and this time they've won it.
Glad we got the result this time, because we we've always been slow starters,
Yeah.
and that's cost us. That's cost us the last few seasons because we're already behind because the other teams just pick up maximum points. So it was important we won that game, and we did eventually.
And you've got another, and just moving on slightly, you've got another slow starting team next in Stoke who didn't do really anything at Everton at the weekend. So I know it's their first home game and all that stuff, but you wouldn't be surprised to see Arsenal come away with a sort of a 2-1 or a 3-1 sort of win there.
Yeah, you would hope so. I think we need to, because then obviously following weekend we've got you guys.
Yeah,
got
true.
Liverpool.
Could
so
be 6-6.
Could be always high scoring, isn't it? So
yeah. Drab 0-0 now. I've said that.
yeah.
I just don't see any obvious improvement from last season. I don't know what a lot of clubs and coaches do in the summers anymore. They play all these kind of friendlies in exotic locations, but when it comes back to playing the league games, and we're going to move on to Liverpool now, I know, but there's just no improvement.
Yeah, well, it is. Well, you can see it's the same from the weekend. It was the same problems as last season, where we're just shipping goals and our defence is all over the place. But I think you'd have to wait until we've got our first choice defence, and if they're still all over the place, then yeah, obviously it's there's still an obvious problem. But
so at least Arsenal might have an excuse for shipping the goals, but I don't know.
We might do. I don't think. Well, only time will tell. But I think that I think we will still have the problem with shipping goals. But then again, if you can score more than the other team, it doesn't matter. No, it does matter. It does matter.
5-3. Is that the Liverpool plan, Neil?
Well, yeah, I was going to move on to Liverpool anyway. Actually quite similar in some senses that we didn't particularly have the first choice back four out either, although I'm not sure we would have done any better. We did have the first choice central defensive pairing.
Fullbacks both missing.
But yeah, Klein's obviously out. Moreno's playing instead of Milner. So there are perhaps slight mitigating circumstances. You would perhaps not expect us to go into too many games with that back line. That said, it's kind of hard in a way because you can moan all the time about the goal being offside, the equaliser in the last minute. I think it is, but
it's marginal. Isn't it?
You've got to get on with it, obviously, and just set pieces again. The undoing for Liverpool at the moment doesn't seem. I sort of heard, I didn't see it, but I heard afterwards Carragher and Redknapp had a bit of a debate, and Carragher was saying, well, you bring in Van Dijk and that doesn't necessarily stop happening, which I kind of agree with. I think it's more of a systemic issue. But
it is.
Going forward, in fairness, looked good for about 20 minutes in the second half, and the goals were pretty good. It's quite nice to see him come back twice as well from 1-0 and 2-1 down. So it's obviously disappointing not to win in the last minute. So I was going to say to lose in the last minute. It does feel like a defeat, and you do think, well, it's just there does obviously need to be an upgrade in the central defence. Doesn't look like that's going to be Van Dijk, and I'm not sure who else the manager's interested in. He seems to have said before that he's only interested in what he's got. I don't know if that's a ploy, or it was a ploy to try and get Van Dijk, because Van Dijk put in his transfer request the day after he said that. But I just don't think there's going to be any movement on that front. So I agree with Mark. I think, as Mark said, we're also going to be doing the same thing of conceding goals. But hopefully we'll be scoring lots as well, because we did look decent going forward.
So as a neutral, though, from my perspective, do either of you feel confident that you'll outperform what you did last season? Can you have title challenges? Because if the same issues are still there, you're still likely to suffer the repercussions of that, right? So do you head into another season without the likelihood of being successful?
I still think we've got. I still think we've got something missing. Really, we need. I think in centre midfield we need sort of a sit-in midfielder, another sit-in midfielder really, because I don't think a lot of the time our defence doesn't get enough protection anyway, and then that obviously just shows the frailties we do have in the defensive department. I don't think that we seem to, the last few seasons we've defended zonally. I don't think we can do it correctly because we seem to always concede from set pieces where people just have free headers. So my honest opinion is that I don't think we can challenge for the league again this season. Unfortunately,
Same for you, do you think?
Well, I'll still maintain my positive stance from last week where I said that all 6 can challenge, and I still think all 6 can, but I'd be a lot happier if we had another midfielder and another centre-back, and obviously didn't sell Coutinho. So, I think I'm sort of very much in a similar position to Mark. I think we're a couple of bodies light at the moment. I think they would help us get 86 points. We got 76 last season. You could argue that no one's going to get 94 or whatever it was that Chelsea got. Perhaps nobody will, and perhaps we'll sort of edge towards it. But at the moment, I don't quite think the squad is strong enough, personally. And I'm still hopeful that there'll be some sort of additions in the transfer window, although God knows who that is.
Yeah, same here really. I'll say if we can get rid of some of our fringe players that we're saying we need to, then Wenger's already said that he is open to getting other players in.
Really?
Yeah,
surprises me.
And Klopp said the same. He said we'll keep working till the 31st of August. I don't tend to like to be involved in it, but I wonder if there'll be some sort of deadline day nonsense going on. Actually, with both clubs.
Yeah, could be. Could well be.
You could still sell Oxlade-Chamberlain to us, Mark.
Well, the thing is, if Coutinho goes, I think he would be the first. Yeah, I think you'll be bidding for him.
I don't.
Yeah, the nonsense that's been in the press the last couple of days about Liverpool thinking that they could tempt Dele Alli.
It probably all stems from Ali being a Liverpool fan, doesn't it? I don't think so, obviously. Although I'd love it to be true. Sorry, Dan. But seeing as you mentioned Dele Alli, that moves us nicely on to Spurs' routine away win, a somewhat combustible Newcastle side. Was there much more in it than that?
First half was a bit stale. You could see that there was still a bit of early season legs, not really a lot of spark. Kind of frustrating to watch. Spurs had most of the ball. Newcastle just sort of counters with Christian Atsu, obviously with his pace. Kyle Walker-Peters was the biggest sort of high point of the game. He was fantastic as a debut. You would never have known that was his first Premier League game. He really was outstanding. And Christian Eriksen played really well as well. Harry Kane still can't score in August.
Hit the post, didn't he?
Hit the post. There's an argument from some that he should have been sent off for the tackle on Lujan, but I think it probably would have been harsh.
No more than a yellow said. It was a forced challenge, but he got the ball. It was just quite sort of, I wouldn't say ugly, but just
ugly is a good word for it. I think.
Yeah, ugly, but not in a dangerous type.
No,
way.
it just
wasn't. Yeah,
clumsy.
It was
clumsy. That's it. That's what.
Other than that, like I say, a comfortable win. Shelvey assisted, but second half class told, I think, and whether that would have been the case or not without the red, we'll never know. But compared to perhaps some of the issues around other clubs, and despite the press's efforts to kind of unsteady things at Spurs, I think they started the season off pretty well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Away win. Yes, quite routine. So we can ask for really.
Well, I mean, we got turned over there last time we went there on that last day.
6-0, wasn't it? 6-1.
6-1.
Yeah, it's sometimes not an easy place to go on the opening day of the
I
season.
think
there's a bit of unrest there at the moment, but
I think it's a good time to play them because Benitez still hasn't got in the players he wants. I don't think it's a settled club, is it? So
yeah. You mentioned Kyle Walker-Peters. I should mention his double-barrelled name, not compatriot or anything like that, but Trent Alexander-Arnold also did very well in the week. Scored
in the Champions League
free kick.
Yes,
I haven't seen that yet. Actually, I was have a look at that. Apparently, very good free kick.
Poor wall, but yes, it was a good free kick.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know why I mentioned that.
I can always give a nod to young players.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's the double-barrelled thing. I was like,
any young players come for Arsenal, Mark? No. Right, let's move on.
Yeah.
You knew there was a dig there somewhere, didn't you?
What was an opportunity?
It was actually, and also a double-barreled one. Ainsley Maitland-Niles as well, maybe coming through this season.
I think he's off Ready Steady Cook or something. He's not Premier League player.
That's Ainsley Harriott.
going to be a team of 11 Dorrell Werolds in 2020.
There will be, yeah.
Anything else catch your eye over the weekend, guys? I know we mentioned Huddersfield, which was great, really, and they've got Newcastle at home next, actually. So you think that could be another winnable.
Good opportunity for both sides, actually.
Yeah,
to get some
yeah,
points.
true. But anybody else? I sort of glanced at the match of the day. Everton's was noticeable mainly for Rooney. Southampton versus Swansea was a non-event.
Non-event.
Really, unfortunately, Man United looked quite good, didn't they?
I think we do need to move on to United.
I was going to say United and City probably deserve a mention.
Well, I think City's Brighton put up a sort of a good, brave fight.
They always looked limited, didn't they?
Yeah.
They didn't have enough up front for me, for Brighton, to trouble City. I think City were playing with such a high line, but they just could.
They worried me in as much as if they... I wonder whether they'll look to take the league on in much the way that Middlesbrough did last year, because they looked like they got to halfway and just over and didn't really know how to progress it from there. But it's difficult to make that decision off the back of that one game, especially against City.
Absolutely. They're playing against probably the best squad in the league.
Yeah, I think I just hoped that City have got new players. Brighton would be really pumped. The crowd would be up. I thought maybe it'd be a little bit more balanced than it was, but City were comfortable in the end, weren't they?
Yeah.
Put up a good fight sort of in the first half, didn't they? But it was always just City coming, wasn't it? And then eventually they managed to break through.
I mean, in fairness, I think it was a mistake that led to the goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. What was it? Del Stevens go away the ball halfway and
little 1-2 for Aguero and
and Aguero doesn't miss.
It's a good finish.
That's why I don't understand why you'd ever consider selling him. But United looked far more impressive than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that. I heard all the noises around there impressive. Obviously, West Ham, it sounds like were very poor, but you can only beat what's in front of you at home on the opening day. So, I mean, they did start well last year, United. So you can't. It's always difficult to read too much into it, but obviously it does look a bit ominous.
It's just the manner of the performance. I mean, I watch far too much football, really, but.
That's why you're on it.
Exactly, but the manner of the performance, that just, I mean, they made West Ham look really ordinary. And don't get me wrong, West Ham, to a man, didn't really turn up. But, I mean, Lukaku, some people thought, is he sort of really worth that value? Looked dangerous, looks like he's already got a partnership going up top there with Rashford. Mkhitaryan was always going to come good. They've got Pogba, who's been released now by the signing of Matic. Going forward, they're like a juggernaut, like they used to be.
Yeah, got Martial to come on.
For a neutral, they'll be a really good side to watch at Old Trafford this year. I think they could steamroller a few sides.
It's key you say at Old Trafford though, because I still think away from home, Mourinho, especially against the Big Six, I can see him setting up to frustrate a lot.
Oh, it's the Mourinho way, isn't it?
He's got the players to do it, and let me make no bones about it. I'm not criticising him.
No.
It's what he does.
Get the job done and get your points at home. I mean, that's.
But as far as, I mean, like I say, I think they'll dispatch the dead with no problems. But I think entertainment wise, City would probably be a better watch for me. Possibly Liverpool as well. Depending on whether we'd be entertaining anyway because we can't sort of defend them.
I think obviously it looks like a handsome result 4-0, but I think West Ham kind of sort of fell apart after the first goal went in, and it was pretty easy for United in the second half.
I mean, they had a few missing again, I suppose, but
it's like you say, you only can beat what's in front of you.
Yeah, you can't knock them. 4-0 on the opening day is a perfect way to start. Mourinho as well, he likes his sides to set off like a train and basically win the league by December. So
4 goals and a clean sheet.
That could happen again, but City might have something to say about it.
I mean, if anybody ever wanted a flutter, I wouldn't be too averse to the idea of both United and AC Milan winning their respective leagues this year. Probably get reasonable odds on that.
Ever bang on that?
Oh, we're back to that. That hasn't been used on the pod in a while.
No, I'll just say you got bets on, have you?
No. Just
I thought he was just doing his bit for Sky Bet or whatever it was.
Also available from Rawlinson.
6-4.
6-4 for Dan Rawlinson.
So anything jump out at you from this weekend's round of fixtures as well? We've mentioned Spurs, Chelsea, City are playing Everton. That could be a decent contest.
Yeah, that's on Monday, and I think it would be a good indicator, more so than the fixtures they opened with, as to where both clubs are.
Yeah,
I think City are at home.
Yeah, they are.
So they'll want to put down a marker in their first game. But obviously Everton have bought quite well, as we've discussed before. And it'd be interesting to see how they acquit themselves against such an expensive collection of attackers that City have got.
Yeah.
Be quite. I think it'll be a decent game, to be honest, because you've got Everton has spent big on Michael Keane, so it'd be good to see how he does up against Jesus and Aguero.
Sigurdsson yesterday.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I imagine he'll come into the squad by Monday.
Yeah.
It's a funny one actually. Their fixture list is mad. Everton's after this, they've got something like Spurs, Chelsea, and then Arsenal, all in the next 4 games or something like that.
But I think
they
they're a
come
club
out
on
the
a
other
high,
side
you
of
know.
that. Yeah.
So I don't think they've got any reason to fear anybody.
Well, yeah, there is that element to it, isn't there? And it's almost like, well, we'll just see what sticks, and we don't get many points out of this. We didn't expect them anyway. So.
I mean, everybody's already written off their season that they'll finish 7th, and that'll be it. So to a degree, they don't have a lot to lose in these fixtures against those around them, or above them, I should say.
No. So anything else? Liverpool at home to Palace, who are a bogey side. So. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully.
Neil's pulling sort of faces to himself already, sort of prepared for a...
Don't like playing Palace, especially as my in-laws support them. So that's always a tricky one. But and they've beaten us at Anfield last 3 seasons.
And I'll see. Maybe not so much the fortress as it once was, but Arsenal Stoke away. We've had some bad times at Stoke.
Stoke signed Hesse this week, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, this
be
is
an
true,
interesting
actually.
signing.
They're looking increasingly pointless, Stoke, at the moment. So perhaps they need to sort of prove their relevance again and give them a big performance.
The trouble is, they sign these like superstar names like Bojan, Shaqiri, all had like burgeoning reputations in their younger years.
Yeah.
And it's sort of Hesse feels like he fits into that bracket that he was expected to be a superstar, just like Shaqiri.
Yeah.
And ends up, no disrespect, but playing in Stoke.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Yeah. And they're almost like a collection of ex-players, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like QPR were a couple of years ago, who were also managed by Mark Hughes. Is there a bit of a theme going?
Did they ultimately go down?
They did, yeah.
Yeah. So my shout of Stoke being in the bottom 3, it's not too far off the mark.
As you're talking about our shouts of being in the bottom 3, remember on the last pod we all made predictions.
Yes.
Burnley, Watford. Well, I think they're down. Well, obviously not down the pan, but.
Yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly advise no one takes any notice of us.
Oh, well, you throw 20 names into a hat, basically, don't you? It would probably be Huddersfield end up winning the league by 16 points or something. Could be tricky, but I still think Arsenal will probably beat Stoke. Anything else? I can't think of any other fixtures.
There's nothing else. There's nothing else.
Said that Huddersfield-Newcastle one could be an interesting one for 2 promoted sides playing each other early. But if there's not much else, we can move on to the ongoing transfer stuff. We've already touched on it to a degree with some of the chat we've had, but it's not going anywhere, and it doesn't seem like many players are going anywhere.
It's all gone a bit quiet, isn't it?
It's all gone a bit quiet, apart from clubs sort of issuing denials and statements that their player isn't leaving. So obviously Liverpool have done that with Coutinho. Southampton have followed suit with Van Dijk. Sanchez with Arsenal just seems there seems to be absolutely nothing happening.
Well, it kind of seems like you've not heard anything from Sanchez, but I think it's kind of Wenger's just said, look, we're not selling you. You got to stay for the last year of your contract, and he's gone. So yeah, all right then, and then he leaves on a free.
Yeah, I'd still be interested to see if somebody came in for him, whether Arsenal would stick to that, because last year his seat, like you say, of his contract. If Arsenal can get 30-35 million for him, I think unfortunately it makes business sense for that to happen.
Well, it kind of does. He's obviously 28, going on 29 now, isn't he? So, but I mean, on a fan's point of view,
of course, you don't want to lose.
Yeah, I'd obviously love to keep him long term, obviously. But if we can keep him for another season, see what we can do, and then he wants to go at the end of his contract, then that's his choice.
I think here with the time element's one thing, but I think if someone came in 45 million for Sanchez now, Arsenal will go, well, no, because who are we going to buy? At the end of the day, you're fiddling around at the end of the window with 45 million, and they'll probably end up with 45 million. That's no use to Arsenal. It's more of a case of actually the season that Sanchez have, okay, it's probably not worth 45 million, but it's worth a substantial amount of money to Arsenal.
It might be if they get back in the Champions League.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'd have to be careful of that because we might end up signing Musa Sissoko or something like that.
Yeah, he's got his dig back in at you. I think that's the first time that's ever happened.
It is.
I quite liked it. Yeah, so
It's good work, that.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I know this was a bit of a weird one when the news broke yesterday that City have tried to sign Johnny Evans, but West Brom have said, it's something like 18 million, and West Brom have said no because if they lose Johnny Evans, there's a very good chance that West Brom get sucked into sort of the relegation battle. So Johnny Evans is worth 18 million, or more than 18 million to West Brom. You're sort of seeing clubs say, actually, we'd rather have the player than the money.
So I find that incredible because although I read this week that there's snobbery around Johnny Evans and that actually he's better than people say, I've never been convinced by Johnny Evans. And 18 million in the current market does seem like a fair price. And more to it, I believe because Spurs are on the verge of signing this Colombian fella from Ajax.
Yeah, Sanchez.
That West Brom are putting plans in place to sign Kevin Wimmer. Now, I mean, you can put 2 and 2 together and come up with 5, but if West Brom sign Wimmer, 18 million spent, suddenly you think, well, Johnny Evans going to City for a similar amount, it might all start to add up.
I just think him in particular, I think he's quite integral to their system. I think if, it would probably take quite a large amount of money now because you're sort of gambling the club's future. Okay, they could bring in Wimmer. Wimmer might be a decent standard of replacement. There's no guarantees that he's going to fill the shoes of Johnny Evans, who is probably is the most important player at West Brom right now.
Yeah, I think he's probably, if you look at who they've got in defence there, he's probably their best defender. And you think about who else they've got a very ageing backline. Got Gareth McCauley, I think it's about 37, 38.
I thought it was about 78.
Yeah, it's very Pulis though, isn't it? This?
Yeah, and
they
they've got
signed Gareth Barry this week.
Yes,
true.
they did,
I did see that. Yeah,
it's nice of them to keep him going, isn't it? Especially as he's like the one footballer who's still older than us.
Didn't his legs go 10 years ago? What was that World Cup where he got walked by? I can't remember.
I don't know, but then again, West Brom buying Wimmer off you, that would make sense because obviously they're trying to get younger people in. They signed so they got an Egyptian guy on loan. Scored the winner in the opening day. But apart from that, they've sort of got quite an ageing backline.
But we already know the West Brom story, don't we? They'll get to
yeah.
Christmas, they'll be sort of looking towards 40 points. It's a Pulis side, they won't go down.
Go to 40 points and then that's it, and then not pick up any more points.
Feels Johnny Evans is key to that, and I think this is something you're seeing sort of across the board now. So Liverpool can sign Naby Keita because for any amount of money, because Red Bull Leipzig have decided he's so important to them. The money can't replace him.
I suppose if you're cash rich,
Coutinho probably an example, or I think Barcelona have actually not bid that much for him, and I think they're trying to do it on the cheap.
But I mean, you and I disagreed about it a little bit earlier on, didn't we? Like quite what the level of player versus club power is as such. Because I said that I felt that when you see the amount of players who are refusing to train, refusing to play, and essentially forcing the hand of clubs previously, that the power seems to be with the player, because the player can say, well, Diego Costa, as we touched on at the start, I'm just not going to play for you, and if you don't pay me, I don't care. I'm going to get the move I want, be it now or in 6 months. I've no interest in playing for you anymore. I know you've got a different outlook on it.
Yeah, well, I just think I think that can be the case, and that still is the case with some players. I don't think that's necessarily gone, and in fact, the proof of the pudding will only be when the transfer window closes.
Yeah.
But if you have a situation where Van Dijk, Keita, Coutinho, Sanchez to a degree, Sigurdsson's gone obviously.
Yeah.
But if you have a situation where all of those players are more who are sort of striking at the moment, I'm sure there is more. I can't think of them, and none of them go to their preferred destination, then you have to say that the clubs somewhere have drawn a line in the sand and said, well, it doesn't matter how much money you're going to bid for us. We're going to keep hold of you. The money is worthless to us because the money is increasingly worthless in a market where a player goes for 200 million.
Yeah, I suppose if you've got the money, clubs know you've got the money, so when you come calling for their players, they hike their prices up. They don't want to lose their players, and it's just a knock-on effect.
There's exactly that, and I think people are receptive to bids at certain times, but when it becomes August and the season starts, and you've got 2 weeks until the end of the transfer window, and you've got 100 million, and there's no guarantee you're going to spend it. You're going to find yourself, okay, yeah, brilliant, we're in profit, but our fans are muting us because we've sold our best player, and that's up and down the board. That's from Johnny Evans to Coutinho to, I think Barcelona and I know we're going to touch on Barcelona. I think they made a massive mistake with Neymar, thinking that they'd never be able to, they'd never lose him, and I think that's what's got them into this slightly sticky situation.
I think it's a legal requirement in Spain, isn't it, to have a clause in the contract as a release clause. I don't know why that's law there.
Yeah, no, I think I think it is because it just seems every player that's obviously attached to a Spanish team has a buyout clause in their contract. Yeah. So I think it is just something they have to have in it. But I think Barcelona probably thought that no one's gonna bid that. And they're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, none of us could have called that. No one would have thought, £200 million or whatever would be spent on one guy. I mean, the Bale money and the Ronaldo money at the time all seemed crazy.
Yeah.
But on the sports news, obviously this week it broke that 17 Premier League clubs were in favour of moving the transfer window closing date to the 1st of August.
Before the season started. Yeah, and that's what they're saying.
So what do you think of that? Because I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it a bit more, and then I thought, but if you close the window here, it doesn't guarantee that the window in Spain, Italy, etc. get closed at the same time. So we might close our window so we can't poach players off each other. But in theory, Barcelona could still come along to Liverpool in 2 weeks' time when our window's already closed, still take Coutinho, and then you can't strengthen at all. You haven't got that choice because it's already closed. But
if that's the case, Liverpool can just say, well, no, he's not going anywhere because the window's closed. We can't sign anyone to replace him. So no, he's staying there. That's. I mean,
do you think it's a good idea?
I do actually, because you might find that like a club is starting the season and then a team comes in for one of their players and it obviously disrupts the beginning of the season. If it's all done and dusted, and players know where they stand before the season starts, then I think it only helps teams. I do think it's a good idea.
Provided it's set up right, so as nobody is put at a disadvantage, then that's fair enough. But I do wonder, like I say, whether or not it needs to be looked at a higher level than just Premier League, and it impacts on all the sides across Europe.
all the top leagues. Because I do get what you're saying, that if say you've got Spain, Italy, etc., all say the same, and then also they came to wanted to sign Premier League players, there's no reason why. Like a player still could decide to, oh no, I want to go. The club might say, well, you're not going because we can't sign anyone to replace you.
The player says, that's not my problem.
That's the thing,
exactly.
Go. Yeah, that's exactly so.
And then you've got release clauses still. There are contracts that I'm sure a lot of us don't know about where players have got release clauses.
Yeah.
And you've got the potential that if those are triggered, you are going to lose players, and then you can't replace them.
Yeah. So I do think it's a good idea to close it before the season starts, but I do agree with you. They need to do it in the right way because like you say, if transfer windows are still open in other countries, then teams are going to lose players and not going to have to sign anyone. So it doesn't work.
Just get some random German team signing like 10 of your players, and you've got no one to play in a League Cup game.
I mean, this does sound like a sound UEFA idea, doesn't it? I'm sure that's probably what they'll do.
Yeah. I hope they thought it out properly, and if they have, then I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it needs to be aligned. I do think it should happen before the end the season starts. For one, I'm sure there's some UEFA reason, but I don't understand why the transfer window doesn't open on the 1st of June and then close on the 31st of July, because at the moment it's the 1st of July and the 31st of August. But I don't understand why they can't move that a month back, and then that would suit everyone because nobody's season starts before the 31st of July, does
Well,
it?
yeah, because at Christmas, if you get a month, January to the end of Jan, because it's the off season, it makes sense to me you'd extend it to longer than a month, but 2 months seems plenty of time to get your business in order.
Yeah.
I mean,
I appreciate everyone has to take a holiday.
Yeah.
So like Daniel Levy sat on his sun lounger in Spain taking calls, but
it's not like clubs don't have a shortlist all year round.
Yeah.
It's not like they're not prepared.
They're
I think a
always
lot of
working on
fans
these
think they
things.
just sit in an office one day and go,
pick a name
what
out.
about that fella?
Yeah.
It doesn't work
No,
like
it's
that.
continuous scouting and all the rest of it, and everything that goes into it, like massive databases and all this stuff, isn't it?
Do you think they should just abolish the transfer window? Because, I mean, we remember a time when there wasn't one. It was just players went anywhere, whenever clubs fancied it.
When all this were fields.
Do sound a bit old, doesn't it?
Well, no, I'm not sure about abolish it.
I mean, it put Jim White out of work. You just
No,
got
Well, maybe we should abolish it.
talk sport all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't think they should abolish it completely. But yeah, like obviously when we were, when we were growing up getting into football, like you say, there was no transfer windows. You can just basically go and say I want to sign that player, and all year round.
I think it helps that you have a settled squad for a year and you know that squad's likely not going to change. Okay, there's a little window in January. I think I could just see some people abusing that now if it happened, like someone like a PSG, a cash-rich club going, oh, we're playing Monaco next week, let's sign their best player. and like the way football's going, I know that sounds ridiculous, but like I don't think it's, like there's talk today of Mourinho wanting to sign Thomas Lemar, and I'm sure he's only doing that because Arsenal wanted him, because he does have form for that. So I don't know, but yeah, I think in general it possibly is a good idea to move it, but I just they would have to align it so all the windows in Europe are the same, because otherwise you might get someone trying to pinch your players in September or something like that. Just having like a mad window in the middle of November for no reason. All of a sudden you're like 5 players down and can't sign anyone.
Although at this moment in time, most of the major leagues are in a line with each other. They all close at the same time. But there are a couple of countries. I'm gonna say Russia. It might not be Russia, but I know there's some that go on for a couple more weeks into September.
I think China's transfer window is a different time. I think I don't know when exactly.
See, things like that pose a problem.
Yeah,
I think because if China's transfer window
Yeah.
goes on until January, for example, I don't know what the rules are with China, but if China's transfer window is at a different time to ours, and one of their clubs can come over and say, right, well, we want X player, it's £60 million, double the player's price tag, which is what they were doing with some deals not so long ago. I don't know what. A lot of clubs will probably take it. I know a lot of clubs are cash rich, so they don't have to. But you are still going to have players having their heads turned. I mean, look at Diogo Costa at Christmas.
Yeah.
When I can't remember, maybe Guangzhou came in.
China's been sort of capped now, though, isn't it?
It has been capped, yeah. But it's still government backed, I believe. So I mean, they want to encourage talent over there and money to get spent.
Yeah, that's true. But like I say, it doesn't stop. Obviously we've seen what Paris Saint-Germain have done with Neymar. It doesn't stop with another cash-rich club coming in and
Freudian slip that.
Well, yeah, indeed.
Yeah. And just
Stefan
sticking
Freudian slip.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah. Oh, good. Well, yeah. On that awful pun, I think we should move on.
Wise.
Probably wise.
But it's something that'll float around forever, and I'm sure we'll debate the window before the window slams shut.
Yeah, I think maybe we should have a little look at the squads again once everything's been finalised, because
To go back and revise your predictions.
well,
Burnley to win it all the way.
I still fancy one of the Manchester clubs to win it, but
You might be changing which Manchester club.
yeah.
Okay, well, I know we touched on Barcelona, but let's finish up on them. It's a bit of a mess, to be honest, Mark. Like they just, got done by Real in the Super Cup. Still sort of searching around for players for signings. Obviously, Dembele and Coutinho are the two that they're really trying for, but they probably need a couple more. I think. I know Paulinho's come in. But,
Doesn't count.
Spurs fan there.
Might as well take Sissoko as well.
Could we dress Sissoko up as Coutinho and sell him to Barcelona?
I've got to say, just in Sissoko's defence, I never thought I'd be saying that, but just in Sissoko's defence, he got a lot of stick again in the press after Newcastle, but he played reasonably well, and I think the guy's kind of on edge now. Every time he goes out on the pitch, he knows he's under pressure to kind of not look like a complete waster. And he was reasonable at Newcastle. He didn't put up any trees, but he did all right.
Should we have a regular Moussa Sissoko watch?
Moussa Sissoko watch, that could be good.
Yeah.
See how he's getting on. Clock in with Moussa. I like it.
Have you got a jingle? We should do a jingle for that.
Watch out for the jingle, listeners. It will be with us next week. It won't. I can't guarantee any promises. So, Mark, anyway, Barcelona are rubbish. Discuss.
Well, I wouldn't say they're rubbish, but they are in a bit. They are
threw the grenade for you there.
They are in a little bit of a mess. They've obviously lost Neymar, and they've got a lot of money they don't really know what to do with at the moment. They've like I say, what's if you believe in what you read in the press, Coutinho and Dembele from Borussia Dortmund seem to be the players they want to bring in. But they've just lost Luis Suarez for a month as well, so that's just leaving the once the as they called them, the MSN.
Yeah.
Or just left with M.
Yeah.
So
just the M at the moment.
Just the M. But yeah, they've like we say, they've just signed Paulinho. It's a very strange one. Struggled at Tottenham. Went to China for a lot of money, which I think a lot of Spurs fans were laughing when they agreed that deal. Seems to have done all right over in China, but now to be signed by a team like Barcelona.
Do you think he's got Barca DNA done? Because they always have Barca DNA, don't they?
I don't know. Should we go and ask someone like Andres Iniesta and see if he thinks so?
I think if you told
answer.
Yeah.
If you told Barcelona 5 years ago that a midfield that once contained Xavi and Iniesta every game was going to contain Paulinho, who can't even continue doing keepy-uppies in his presentation
it's not
today.
good revealing that, is it?
Ask
him to do something else. Ask him to if he can't do the keepy-uppies, ask him to do a defensive clearance or something like that. Just stop it with the keepy-ups. It's not going to work.
Get him to do a throw-in or something. That'd be one, isn't it?
Score an own goal.
Difficult with Paulinho because he probably was better than he ever showed at Spurs, but he might end up being what Barcelona need. It seems unlikely, but what I do think they need to do is probably go out and spend like 300 million if they've got it.
Well, I don't think they even have that though, do they? Because I think there was very much talk of, before this Neymar deal, there was very much talk that they weren't going to really go and sign anyone, and the bids that they put in for Coutinho and Dembele I think have been low ball bids. So I think they're trying to do it on the cheap, and I don't think they've. I think it's hard for them because I think they need a bit of reconstruction.
It's difficult because quite quietly, Madrid have put together a squad of youth and experience, and it's so interchangeable that when a player does drop out, i.e. say Ronaldo last night, just irrelevant, not even noticeable. And Barcelona are just a shadow of the side that beat them at the Bernabeu at the end of last season.
Yeah.
It seems to be Messi v
at
the moment. And I know some people might say that's always been the case, but that's not really true because Suarez, Neymar, Rakitic always stepped up. Iniesta getting on a bit now. And the trouble is their youth products aren't really coming through successfully anymore. And the ones they do get, Sandro Ramirez at Everton, Munir, who I think moved to Valencia on loan last year. Don't know where he is now. They've brought back Deulofeu.
Yeah, I thought that was an odd
He's
move.
Clearly not quite at the standard, is he?
Because he had a bright start at the Ev, but
he was a reasonable player.
His form fell off a cliff, and they weren't playing him towards the end. They sent him out on loan, didn't they?
Yeah, went to Milan, didn't he?
I don't even think. I guess it's because here comes the Barca DNA, having come through that Demasia. But I just think that even if you saw him on the bench, you think that's quite a weak substitution to make. I mean, it's difficult to directly replace somebody like Neymar and then bring in Deulofeu and Paulinho.
Yeah. What was it like? Well, do we dare to say that Barcelona don't seem to have the pulling power as they once were? And
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's just financial means. Because again, I think it's been spoken a lot about because of what's happened with Coutinho in the last couple of weeks. I think most players, especially South Americans, but most players, if a Barca or Real come calling, they're always the clubs that aren't able to turn down. That's what the pros say.
You know, you've seen obviously. You know, as I actually, obviously I hope we stand firm. I actually quite hope Dortmund do as well. But you've seen that both players evidently want the move.
Again, Dembele's behaviour is awful.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's probably been badly advised as a young player, isn't he?
He's only been at Dortmund a year. They've essentially given him that platform.
But I think this is part of the Barca desperation because of the Coutinho thing. Is certainly that I think most Liverpool fans have always accepted that he was going to end up there, but possibly next season. But the rumours are that the whispers at Barcelona have been put in his ear is it's now or never. We'll never come back for you. It may have been the same with Dembele. And this kind of extremity. I mean, it's clearly rubbish. They will come back, but this kind of extremity probably leads to this sort of behaviour. Not condoning it. It's fairly dreadful to do that.
It's surely not right, is it?
Especially Dembele, because he's gone AWOL, hasn't he? He did. Obviously, he's come back now. But
I mean, you guys know I've got a soft spot for Barcelona. I love the city, and I fell in love with the club. I think as a result of going there, but. I worry. They're obviously weak in terms of number at the moment. The likelihood is they're still going to turn over 10, 15 clubs in that league.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's cut and dried now that when they turn up to a Sevilla or a Villarreal or somewhere like that, I don't think you can guarantee Barca are going to win.
Turn them over, yeah.
Might make the Spanish league a bit more interesting though.
I don't think it will, because I think it will be a one-horse race and then everybody else fighting for second.
Yeah, true. Actually,
it's a bit like
thinking, there'll be new teams up there now around.
It's a bit like Scotland, isn't it?
League by 1,000 points.
You've got Celtic, who used to have Rangers for company every year.
Yeah.
Then obviously Rangers go through all of that financial situation with the irregularities and get relegated. Now they're back, but it's essentially Celtic's league to lose every year.
Yeah. They should start with the 20-point handicap. Give everyone else a chance.
I just hope they steer clear of Christian Eriksen.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. Not. There's nothing against Eriksen. I just don't think they'll go for him. Personally, I think they've got their targets set.
Yeah, Coutinho's the more obvious fit. Like we said, they like a South American, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. And I think he will go there, but I just hope it's next summer rather than this. Yeah. The club will be good to their word, and I won't be crying on deadline day or burning a shirt outside Anfield or whatever it is.
I did see a video this week.
People do these days.
Well, I saw a video on one of the social media sites, and it was just an arm with a Coutinho mug, and he just threw it as hard as possible on the concrete, and it just smashed into pieces.
Yeah, but this is the funny. I've sort of, just to finish up, I've been having this debate all week though, because I think people at the moment on forums are saying, but if he stays, he won't play for us again, he'll rot in the reserves. I don't think so. I think it's literally, if he stays and if these other want-away players stay and the transfer window shuts, then pragmatism sets in, doesn't it? I think on both part of the player and the manager, and Klopp's an emotional guy. I think he probably feels a bit let down by the timing of the transfer request, literally the day before the season started.
Yeah.
But I still think Coutinho's one of our best players. If he's in the squad September the 9th when we go away to Man City, I'd be really surprised if he wasn't involved in some form. I know Klopp's binned off Sacco, but I think that was a bit different. I think he thought he could get along without him, but I think Coutinho's probably too good a player for us to do that with. So I think if we haven't sold him, I think we'll keep the faith with him.
Yeah, well, I think you've got. I think that if you don't want to sell him, then you obviously keep hold of him, and then once the transfer window shuts, then you've just got to play him. Because I say if it's just a case of you're not going to play for us, you'll rot in reserves. That's no point at that. You just might as well just sell him.
Well, nobody benefits, do they?
No,
from that situation. The player doesn't benefit. The club doesn't benefit. Manager doesn't benefit. And come say October, we're away at West Brom and it's all looking a bit dicey, and people are going, well, you've got a brilliant player there that you're not picking. I don't see that happening. I think Klopp is an emotional guy, but I think he's also a pragmatist and a football manager, and I think he'll realise that he needs to reintegrate him into the team.
My only worry is what I said to you earlier, and it's by no means all players, but if we use Coutinho as an example, there's the alternative situation where he does stay because Liverpool enforce that he does, and although it's World Cup year, if he does play and gets reintegrated into the team, rather than play his heart out, he sort of ambles his way through the season, pushes for a move again in January, unsettles the dressing room because he's not pulling his weight. So I think there's a flip side to it. It just depends how professional a player wants to be.
Yeah.
It depends if they can sort of come to a compromise, whether or not Klopp just says that he could just say, look, you're staying now. However, we can have a look at it again in January. If you still want to leave, then we can maybe sort something out.
Yeah, that's true.
And then if he's got like sort of that, then there's no reason why Coutinho just plays his heart out for the club.
I think I can see what you're saying with that. I do think that those sort of stubborn players, though, are probably not rare but occasional. Diego Costa's one.
Mm-hmm.
I think Diego Costa would do anything not to play for Chelsea again. But I think most players will probably go, okay, I've got to knuckle down and get on with it. It's still not that bad a job. I'm playing football and getting paid lots of money to kick a ball in the net and people cheer me on and stuff. So I think quite a lot of them will sort of come around, but I'm sure you will get the odd one that refuses to play.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, the clubs can just say, look, you're not going anywhere. You've got a contract for like 3 years, for example.
Yeah.
We expect to honour the terms of your contract, and the terms of your contract is to pay for this football club.
I think Van Dijk, assuming he doesn't go anywhere, Chelsea have been mentioned as well. I think if he's at Southampton in September the 2nd, I think he'll get on with it. Mm-hmm. He said a lot.
Yeah.
But I still get.
He released that letter, didn't he?
His statement, It was long, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I still get the feeling that what's to be gained by sitting around sulking reserves in a World Cup year.
I do wonder.
Dutch might not qualify. It's
Well,
a bit up in the air.
I do wonder whether clubs, what recompense clubs have, because for me, if a player such as Van Dijk chooses not to play and chooses not to play long term, I mean, I don't know what a footballer's contract looks like and the various caveats, but for me, it's if you don't play due to X, Y, Z reasons, the club is under no obligation to continue paying your wages.
Exactly.
That's what should be written. Perhaps the way football's going, and this is just off the cuff, but perhaps that should be written into contracts. If you start causing the club trouble and choosing not to train, choosing not to play, feigning injury, whatever, you lose your wages.
Well, exactly.
If you and I didn't,
they do fine, don't they?
Yeah, but
I mean,
a lot of players on so much money and think, like a 2-week fine.
well, exactly. You don't need it really. And if any of us stopped going to work would soon suddenly go, well, we're not going to pay you.
Yeah,
so there must be some kind of, I don't know if it's special for sports people or what, but you'd think the clubs would be able to say, like, well, we'll just stop transferring your cash every month if you're not going to.
I suppose the only flip side of that, though, is that you could also say that football's the only business where somebody goes, I want to leave, and the organisation goes, no. Because, if me or you or Mark, we all hand in our resignation letters tomorrow, they'll be accepted. But the clubs have some sway and can actually go, no, we're keeping hold of you. I know there's some sort of other occupations where something similar's in place. But
I mean,
you sign the contract, don't you?
Yeah.
I think the end of the day, it doesn't benefit any player just like going on strike, because, like I say, that the club can just say that, well, we're not gonna, we stay away from the club. We're gonna
stay in Brazil.
Yeah. I know the thing about it's probably not written into their contracts
Having
that
a party.
we're not gonna pay you if you don't play for us. But yeah, that should be the case. They should bring that in, and then the player's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just sort of sit here, not doing what I do. I love. I'm not getting any money. I kind of just better get on with it.
I suppose it's one that's going to rumble on and on as the transfer stuff nonsense, but hopefully gets out of the way. Well, will get out of the way soon. Resolve one way or the other by the 31st.
Can I close by saying Spurs have seemingly actually signed a player?
Hey!
I was nearly tempted to join Neil in the swear box, but Spurs appear to have actually all but signed a player. It's been confirmed that we've reached agreement with Ajax for that Sanchez fella.
So he's going to be coming along soon.
So we should have him in the next few days. So,
but will he get a work permit?
There you
That's
go.
That's the
£35 million question.
he might have a European passport. Who knows?
Yeah.
it's more likely to get a work permit than Serge Aurier the way things are going.
Well, he's just a visa to get into the.
But he's
he's not allowed into the UK, is he?
yeah. Well, you
Back
know
and
this from the
forth,
Champions
back
League.
and forth, all night.
Yeah, yeah.
It's Peter Rod and Wingy.
Well, that's good, Matt. Well, probably too soon for Sunday, but perhaps he'll be integrated into the team soon. Before I go, gents, I mean, we talked a lot about Diego Costa, but I just want you to cast your mind back to the season that Mourinho got sacked and how large Diego Costa was when he came back. How big do you reckon his arse is now? Right now.
It's a terrible way to end.
I don't really want to think about Diego
The
Costa's
imagery
arse.
that you've given listeners. Apologise.
What a note to go out on. What a note to go out on.
Bum note.
Oh,
See what he did there.
beautiful, beautiful. Okay, well, yes, we should definitely wrap up now because I've offended my co-podcasters and probably anybody listening. So we have been Score to Follow. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Wow.